welcome back everybody. Dan here for Sim Racing Source. Thanks so much for joining in with me for today's video. So real quick, I want to say, give a huge thank you to you guys that have been watching my AccuForce review video. There have been a lot of people giving a lot of love on that review video, and I greatly appreciate that. I put a lot of time and effort. It took me a long time to make that video, so I appreciate that. So thanks so much for all the support. It's got a bunch of views already. So I appreciate that. So this video, though, is going to be a first look after the build video for this chassis right here. This is the Team Redline TR1 chassis from SimLab. And I teased this a couple days ago, and so I just got done building it. It took me a couple of different sessions. I can never sit down for too long and do things, guys, for whatever reason. I always get busy with something else. But literally about an hour ago, I finished buttoning this thing up, and I've got all my gear on it, or most of my gear. I've got the wheel, rim, and the pedals, but that's all I'm going to put on this rig for now. And it is ready to drive, but I haven't driven it yet. And just like I did for the GT1 Evo cockpit, my personal rig over there, I did a first look video after the build, and I'm going to do the same thing here with this one. And then for future reference, what's going to happen is probably in 2 to 3 weeks, I'm going to have an actual full review, a very detailed review for this rig. And then maybe a couple weeks after that, I'm going to have a full review on the GT1 Evo cockpit. So those of you who've been waiting for that, that is coming too. The reason why I'm doing this one first is because there are not many reviews or videos out there on this TR1 chassis. There's quite a few videos already. A lot of good information out there on YouTube about the GT1 Evo cockpit. This one, not so much yet. There are a few videos, but there's just not as many. So I think it's more important to get this one out first. You may be asking why I have 2 rigs in the first place. Well, the GT1 Evo cockpit, I purchased that with my money with the intentions to make that my personal rig. That is my personal rig that I race with daily. This is one that SimLab has sent out to me for review because I had reached out to them kind of while I was buying that one, and I told them that I think that this is probably a rig that more people would purchase if it was made more aware that it's out there, because a lot of people, for whatever reason, people don't buy it. And this is actually a really good rig. And price-wise, between the GT1 Evo and this TR1 chassis, you're talking about, if you go black and black, now you can get the silver one a little bit cheaper, but if you go black and black, you're only talking about, I think it's less than $50 difference. Yeah, so I've got it on screen behind you guys, you can't see, but the TR1 is 412 euros, which is this one, and the black GT1 Evo is 371 euros. So you're literally talking about $40 difference. There's a reason you would go with this one, and there's some reasons why you would go with the GT1 Evo. And I'm going to give you all that information really detailed after I drive this for a couple of weeks. And when I do the full review on this one, I'll kind of give you a comparison of why I think you would get this one over that one and vice versa. But for this video, I just want to run through some brief things I noticed as I was setting it up. Again, first impressions after the build. I haven't, again, I think I said this, but I'm going to repeat myself. I didn't drive this yet. I've sat in it. I've got it all adjusted and stuff like that, but I haven't driven it yet. So first thing that I noticed is this one was much easier to put together. Not necessarily easier, but it definitely came together quicker than the GT1 Evo cockpit. Like I said, I will mention all this in a lot more detail in the full review video, but I put that down to 2 things, I believe. Number 2, this is technically the 4th thing that I have put together now out of profile. And every time you build something out of profile, I think you get a little bit better. So I think that's a big thing. So it was much easier for me to put this one together. And the other thing is, and one of the great things about this TR1 chassis as opposed to the GT1 Evo or even their larger rigs, the P1X, is this goes together with these metal brackets. Big, thick, substantial metal brackets. You can see some here. You can see them down there where the bottom of the chassis mounts to these vertical bars that are actually at an angle. So it only kind of goes together one way. Whereas when you open the box on the GT1 Evo, there are tons and tons of those little 90-degree brackets. And there's just so many of them, it's almost maybe a little bit overwhelming. because I don't know, for whatever reason, this one was easier to put together. I did notice that. So if you're looking for the easier of the two to put together, the TR1 chassis is probably the way to go. Now, after I drive these two and I get more in detailed or more knowledge base, I can give you a more informative direction on which one you should buy. But yeah, so I noticed that this one was easier to put together. It is not more adjustable, but it is easier to adjust. Definitely easier to adjust. Getting the seat position and the wheel position and stuff was much easier, so that was a huge plus. Another difference here is the TR1 is much smaller. So if you need a smaller footprint, the TR1 is the way to go, because it's nearly the same length. It's a little bit shorter, but it is much more narrow, and there's less stuff that sticks out on the side. So the main reason why I want to review this is because I think this would probably be a fantastic minimalistic rig for a VR user. If your primary experience is a rig that you need to sit over in the corner and you don't really need a monster monitor, or maybe some people don't even need a monitor on their setup at all, this is going to be a really good rig for that, to kind of just stick over in the corner. You'll barely know it's there. It does not have a big footprint, and it's highly adjustable. So this is really going to be good for someone with a small setup. And my other main concern was whether or not it could handle a direct drive wheel. So I'm also going to put that to the test. I will say, because of its smaller size, or more specifically because of it's more narrow than the GT1 Evo cockpit, this one definitely feels a little less stable, but that's not to say that it doesn't handle the direct drive. I mean, you know, I'm not sitting on it, so there's a little bit of movement for me not sitting on it. You know, when my heavy ass is in the seat, obviously it's going to move less. I definitely think it's going to have no problem holding up a direct drive wheel. I definitely think this is going to tolerate a direct drive, the power of direct drive, just fine. Will it tolerate it as much as the GT1 Evo? I don't think so, but I'll have to put that up for, I'll have to let you know that in a couple weeks when I do the final review. So overall, my initial impressions on this is very small. So if you're looking for something that's small, this is going to be a fantastic route to go. It's definitely capable of being used with a direct drive wheel. I mean, they state that right on the website, so I wasn't expecting any less than that. How much it can actually take, I'll be able to tell you for sure in a couple of weeks. But yeah, it's a good chassis. I'm on the fence of whether or not so far I prefer these angled T-brackets, or, you know, the basically the legs of the wheelbase, or the wheel plate. It's easier to get in and out of this. That's what I'm noticing right off the bat. It's definitely easier to get in and out of this because there's less like in the way of your feet, I guess. But I think there's going to be more stability with the 90-degree legs for the wheel plate on the GT1 Evo. But anyways, I'm not really trying to do a comparison here, even though that's what I'm doing. Basically, I unboxed it. It was pretty simple to put together. That may be because I've been, I'm getting better and better as I put profile pieces of equipment together. I'm sure that has a lot to do with it. But I just think in general, this one was easier to put together just because the brackets only fit in one spot. And it's not a bunch of 90-degree brackets and a bunch of pieces of profile that all look like they could go multiple places. Oh yes, one really important thing. The directions for this are the best directions that I have seen yet for any SimLab piece of equipment. Both of the monitor stands I put together had minimal directions, like one sheet. That had hardly any directions, like one sheet. It was kind of like, it was pretty crazy, to be honest with you. You kind of just guessing and kind of fitting everything together. This had like 3 or 4 sheets. It had schematics like they always do, but then it also had like physical directions and stuff. So I was pretty happy about that, because typically SimLab's directions is like, so-so, but this was actually pretty good. So maybe that had a lot to do with me being able to put it together. But yeah, anyway, so I just wanted to do my impressions after the build. I think this is going to be a fantastic rig for somebody who is looking for something very, very small, even smaller than a GT1 Evo. I know it's hard to comprehend that they have a rig that is smaller than the GT1 Evo, but this one is. In both length and width. So, so I think this will be good for a lot of people. So that's going to be it for this one, guys. This is just kind of off the cuff. Nothing real fancy here. Again, thank you so much for all the support I'm getting on the AccuForce review. I appreciate that, guys. Get a bunch of views. A lot of people saying some really good things about it, so I appreciate that. I put a lot of work into it. And again, probably in about 2 to 3 weeks, this will be my next review that'll come out. And then probably within middle of February, something like that, I'll be finalizing the review for the GT1 Evo cockpit. And that's probably the only two videos I think that I'll have coming out for the next month or so, at least January for sure. I may have a couple of videos in February, but like I've told you guys in the past, what I'm kind of going to be concentrating on in 2020 is these review videos and stuff, and concentrate on getting very quality review videos out on all the stuff that I have. And instead of like throwing out, these really small videos really frequently, I'm just taking my time making these bigger videos that take more production time and stuff like that. So a couple of weeks, you'll see TR1 chassis full review. So far, I like it. And then a few weeks after that, you're going to get the full review on the GT1 Evo. So this is it, guys. This is what I was teasing. I've got both in studio here, and I'm going to be driving them and, yeah, basically comparing them with two different separate reviews. I might do a small comparison video when I'm done, but I don't know. We'll see how it all goes, but this is definitely going to be the first review. I want to thank SimLabs a lot for sending me this. They did not have to do that. SimLabs has been really good to me. Again, I did pay for the GT1 Evo chassis, but SimLabs as a whole, even when I've purchased things and needed assistance, they've been really good to me. It's a really good company, and I highly recommend, if you're looking for a chassis, get something from them, or at least look into them. So that's going to be it for this one, guys. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate it as always, and I will see you guys in the full review for this chassis. We'll see you later.